Hi, my name is Claude Sharon. I am the Director of Education and Professional Development for the Conrad Foundation. CDM Module 10, Building Prototypes. In this module, I'll provide tools and methods that are intended to help guide a team through the prototype phase. A few years back, I had the privilege and honor to guide several teams through the process of design and creating prototypes. In that process, I look back at the importance of being able to have a proof of concept, being able to prove your claims, and make your innovation a reality so others can believe that this is possible. One, the water system is now in 7 different countries. Here you see it working in the Philippines. This is Argentina, helping the people in Argentina. This is Nigeria, and blessing the water. This team was able to create a device to help with nutrition in developing countries. This team was able to help design a bike to sustain energy for electrical devices. Building prototypes can be such a tedious task. Where do you get started? Going through the process of prototypes, there's a lot of steps that need to happen. A lot of design, a lot of building, a lot of collaboration. In that process, you want to be prepared. You want to make sure you have all the parts, you know the steps. Sometimes you even need to know a new skill, such as soldering. And even sometimes it's going to be a smelly proposition. So getting started with prototyping is not easy, but it's absolutely very important. So one of the things I'm going to show is something called a building permit form and how we use this to prepare our prototype. Building permit form. You can find this form in the Resources tab in SceneFire under Next Steps. So once you open this file, and I would recommend pausing the video and opening this file as we go through this demonstration. Building permit form, as you see stated here, shows project, what project you're working on. Sometimes it's a subsystem or a main task. And it has a little line here that basically states if it's completed or not. Why use a building permit? So let's start there. Building permits are required in industry because you want to make sure that you have the right stuff, the right plans, and you're doing it correctly. And if it's in addition, you want to make sure that you can do it in the time constraint. So here's an example of that. So this form is a generic form that you can actually use and print and use with your team. So date and time period for the permit. So what date do you think you'll start and end? The purpose of the build. Is it a proof of concept? Is it a mock-up? Mock-up is a physical presentation. Or is it a fully functional prototype? So it's important to identify what the actual purpose of the build is. So once you go through the process, very similar to the design process, you start with research. Do you need any background to understand how to complete the build? Do you need to watch YouTube videos? Do you need to talk to your mentor? Okay. You're going to place those documents, and what we do in our team is we put it on a Trello board. But this can be done in a lot of different variations. It can be on a whiteboard. It can be on Google Docs. So that's at the discretion of the team. And then you want to go ahead and press the check once that is evident that you have that information. The next step, design. And this is a crucial part. 2D, 3D sketch with details. And details means can you understand from this sketch how to actually build this? And that's a process on its own. So some teams are able to do hand sketches so detailed that they do not require a 3D rendering. Some other teams do a 3D rendering, which is very helpful, but not necessary. But a drawing file is absolutely something that I would strongly recommend before you go ahead and do a mock-up or prototype. The following step, most teams forget to do, and they'll go right ahead and start doing it. But documenting the steps that you think are needed in the procedure part, so important. And this is something that the mentor, teacher, or coach can potentially assist with. Another thing that most teams do not consider are what machines, what tools will be needed in regards to this process. What I see sometimes happen is you'll start building it. You really don't know what you're building yet, and you're looking around in an area where, okay, these are the machines we have, and a lot of pain can happen in that process. So knowing the machines, knowing the types of tools you have, what kind of resources you have at your school or area, if needed. It's a very important step in the process. Materials. Complete bill of materials, which can be presented in a 3D sketch as well. However, having a material list is actually a very important process, so you're not losing time. And I did provide a secondary form that's a template as well. I'll show that at the conclusion of this video. Once that's done, what you can do is now you can put all the information in whatever gathering method that the team has, such as Google Docs or a Google folder or a whiteboard. And then the key here is, and this is one of the things that has helped me as a coach in the past, was you can actually check as you go through, and at the very end, you can evaluate the work. But let's pause on the work right now being completed. That's more of an option. But who's requesting it? Is it a student? Is it a teacher? And the signature is usually a person that's in charge of the actual build, like the build room, or a coach that has experience with tools and creations. And then you have that signature and approved date. So here's where the magic happens. Once this is signed off and you have all these checked off, what I use is a stamp, and I put right over here, it's stamped and approved for these set dates. And this right here has to be present with the group as they are creating the mock-up / prototype. This will assure at least some sort of organization in the process of research, design, procedures, and what machines and materials, so that the team can feel confident that they can do it in the time constraint that they have. So having a form like this can be the difference between following in a timeline and knowing what the issues are in the team. And this is something that we've implemented in the last 3 years, and we have seen nothing but success in regards to our timing, having the right parts, and knowing what we don't know. So I would recommend this as a tool in the future. It's a CDM Module 10 materials order form. So this would be stapled right behind the building permit. And the reason for having a separate sheet for the materials for the purchases, it enables the team to actually gather how much the total cost would be, and also visualize what's going to be online, what's localized, and being able to get the mentor or coach to kind of approve or assist in that process. The purpose of the purchase, very important. Sometimes you might buy things that doesn't really pertain to the project, or you might think that something else might work. And I've caught a lot of mistakes in the past in regards to quantity, or once they're able to put the description, it gives me a clarity of what maybe they shouldn't go to the local vendor. Maybe Amazon might be better. So having this approved and dated in one page helps if you have to go to a local vendor, or if you're having someone else purchase all of the items. So I would strongly recommend using a materials order form. And again, it should be stapled on the building permit. In addition to the building permit, what also should be stapled, as stated prior, is the sketch, list of materials, and procedures. So I hope this process helps, and a team going through the process of creating a prototype in an orderly fashion. So I feel this has been beneficial to our teams, our school, and our community. And one of the things that I want to point out in closing is this is exactly what industry does, right? So if you go to a typical engineering firm, this is the process they use. So being able to use some of the tools that they use in industry, I think can help a team go through the process in the most efficient manner. Thank you, and have a wonderful time building your prototype.